I like inventing or having accidents and being okay. Like, that's not how you're supposed to do that. That's why you're supposed to do that.
Most producers chase perfection. Bon Iver chases mistake. His best music doesn't follow the rules, it rewrites them. And he breaks the rules in 4 layers, each one peeling back another layer of control. Sound, performance, structure, and finally identity. In this video, we'll break down how he breaks them and more importantly, why. By the end, you'll understand how to think like Bon Iver and start creating music that's not just right, but real. If you've ever felt pressure to sound a certain way, I hope this video gives you the permission to let go and create something that feels like you. Let's start with something you'd probably rank as one of the most important parts of music, harmony. But what if it's not? Harmony has always been one of music's emotional anchors. But a few years ago, a friend told me something that stuck with me. People aren't reacting to harmony the way they used to. They're reacting to texture. And research has proven that texture triggers sometimes lead to a stronger emotional response.
I think that that's just a great way to find new sound that will therefore create the new emotion that we haven't felt before.
Right.
This is the first rule Bon Iver breaks. You care less about music theory and more about how the sound itself makes you feel. He's not composing for harmony, he's sculpting emotion. Acoustic and electronic melt into one thing, feeling. Not clean, just human. He flips gospel like Kanye, glitches horns like a broken cassette, and the result is a track that feels raw, unfiltered, and alive. If you want your music to stand out, start layering like a painter. Resample yourself, reinvent something broken, stack chaos. Don't aim for clean, aim for feeling. Because the truth is that perfect doesn't really make you feel. And missing this might cost you a place in the industry. AI is coming fast and it's coming for music. And you know what it's gonna be really good at? Perfect, clean, flawless music. Bon Iver did the opposite, and that's why we feel it. He doesn't just live in perfection, he embraces them.
So he takes like a rather expensive Martin from the 60s and drilling holes in it and putting all this hardware in it to do the pickups. And we test it and I'm like, cool, awesome, that's cool. Just like playing it, and I was just like, why? No, it's just like not quite making me excited. Like it's not doing the thing. I was like, why did you bring that, like the beater? And he's like, yeah. So we plugged this in. It's very quiet and kind of noisy, but it just has the sound. You know?
It just always sounded like it.
This guitar is cheap and ugly, but it feels alive. Bon Iver's music feels human because it's messy. It lives in warbles, room noise, rhythm that wobble, and that's where the emotion hits. Not despite the flaws, but because of them. Very soon it won't be about outperforming other producers. It'll be about making something a machine couldn't. Not flawless, but human. So maybe it's not about getting everything right. Maybe now it's about letting something flawed and real come through. But Bon Iver doesn't just stop there. He doesn't just break the surface. He breaks the shape of the whole thing. Because what if it's not just the sounds that are holding us back? What if the real reason your song doesn't hit is the shape it's trapped in? We taught to follow a structure like a map. Verse, chorus, bridge, end. But Bon Iver doesn't follow maps, he follows emotion. He doesn't just bend the rules, he bends the entire frame to fit the feeling. In many cases, he leaves the traditional structure behind completely. He moves from crafting sections to crafting stories. Because at the end of the day, structure isn't the goal, emotion is.
They created a type of music and a type of not participating in the commercial flow. And I think really Jerry seemed to believe that was a prompt from God or something, or like his duty, I should say. He's like, hey, no, man, you can't just do that stuff. Like that's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not cool. It's not like what the world needs more of.
In award season, he layers chaotic, overlapping sax solo, then lets the whole track melt into a 2-minute a cappella fade out. And in Short Story, he ends with a key change that transitions into the next song, almost like a feeling spilling over. Bon Iver doesn't just write songs, he builds emotional journeys, one unpredictable moment at a time. And maybe that's the rule underneath all the rule breaking. If the feeling is honest, the structure doesn't matter. So far, we've broken the surface, we've broken the polish, we've even broken the structure. But there's one more layer Bon Iver breaks, and this is where most artists flinch, because it's the hardest one to touch, our identity. Bon Iver's latest album, Sable Fable, isn't just a record, it's a collage. A shape-shifting blend of sounds he stole, reshaped and revoiced into something unmistakably his. Day One flips gospel harmonies into chopped hip-hop grooves. I'll Be There channels pure R&B ballad energy, and Walk Home self-sample like a dusty 90s MPC beat. He borrows, bends, and flips.
But I knew I wanted my voice to not really sound like my voice, and so Jimmy was working on it. And I went out into the woods because I knew it was going to be really loud, and it will probably be really loud right now, but to just like get a really rich sounding human voice singing, "Walk on, I want to be inside with you."
Bon Iver isn't afraid to break his own voice to leave his identity behind, because that's how he finds something new, something honest that's never existed before. And maybe that's the final lesson here. You don't have to find your own voice, you have to build it. Still, reshape, distort, let it evolve, and let it sound nothing like you, until suddenly it does. Bon Iver doesn't make perfect songs, he makes honest ones. He breaks the rules of sounds, of polish, of structure, of self, to feel more. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to sound like anyone else, you just need to be real enough that someone else feels it too. And if this resonates with the kind of music you want to make, and you're looking for someone to help bring that to life, I'd love to help. There's a link in the description if you want to talk. And if you want to go deeper, your next step is learning how to tell that story through arrangement. Watch this video next because that's exactly what we're breaking down.